Coming up, Ukrainian community members reflect on the 4th anniversary of Russia invading Ukraine.
The Trump administration is suing UCLA over anti-Semitism towards students and staff. Find out the university's response up next.
Annenberg TV News is next.
The Department of Justice is suing UCLA, accusing the school of anti-Semitism. Hi, I'm Mary Elizabeth.
And I'm Sethan Perez. The lawsuit was filed after UCLA refused to pay a $1 billion fine last year for alleged civil rights violation. Annenberg Media's Campbell Donovan is live at UCLA with the latest of the lawsuit. Campbell?
Thanks, Sethan and Mary. Just a few hours ago, the Trump administration filed suit against UCLA, citing a hostile work environment for Israeli and Jewish staff and students here on campus. In the spring of 2024, UCLA became one of several college campuses nationwide where tensions over the war in Gaza sparked protests. Earlier today, Attorney General Pam Bondi said, quote, based on our investigation, UCLA administrators allegedly allowed anti-Semitism to flourish on campus, harming students and staff alike. I spoke to one student at UCLA who has been banned from being on UCLA's campus due to the protests.
Today's action with the Trump administration is a continuation of his extortion attempts that tries to falsely conflate support for Palestinian liberation with anti-Semitism, and it seeks to further the repression on campus. What isn't mentioned in the extortion attempt is the attack on the encampment, the hundreds of people who had to go to the hospital because of people attacking campus, and UCLA administration's refusal to press charges or even identify people after the fact. And I'm not allowed across the street for asking questions of university administrators and walking slowly on campus.
UCLA responded to the case, writing, quote, we stand firmly by the decisive actions we have taken to combat anti-Semitism in all its forms, and we will vigorously defend our efforts and our unwavering commitment to providing a safe, inclusive environment for all members of our community. And we tried to talk to a few staff and students here on campus, but they just didn't feel comfortable talking about the lawsuit quite yet. As for UCLA, they have not formally responded to the case yet, but the outcome of this case is destined to tell us a little bit about how colleges will handle protests moving forward. For Annenberg Media, I'm Campbell Donovan.
Thank you, Campbell. In just a few minutes, President Donald Trump will address a joint session of Congress, his first State of the Union since returning to the White House.
It's hard to predict what Trump will do, but he may try to relate what he's doing around the world to everyday concerns. Foreign policy tends to be a bit remote from the experiences and political attitudes of voters, and so he might try to make those connections. Why am I trying to do these tariffs? What's in it for us? What's in it for you? The Trump administration's activities have been less unpopular than a lot of stuff that he's doing domestically. They're still not all that popular.
This address comes at a crucial time for President Trump. His agenda on trade and immigration has hit some roadblocks, and his approval ratings dropped from 47% last year to 36% in 2026, the year of the crucial midterm elections. We asked students their thoughts on the State of the Union.
The State of the Union is polarizing.
The State of the Union is a mess.
I think the State of the Union right now is kind of a show.
The State of the Union is sketchy.
The State of the Union is mysterious.
The State of the Union is controversial.
The State of the Union is problematic.
The State of the Union is terrifying. The State of the Union address is questionable.
The State of the Union is unclear.
The State of the Union is confusing.
The State of the Union is insane.
The State of the Union is disheveled.
After President Trump wraps his State of the Union address, there will be a Democratic response by the newly elected Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger.
Thanks, Evan. USC Keck healthcare workers are on strike. For 6 days, employees of the renowned hospital have gathered in the streets surrounding the health campus, protesting what they say are unfair working conditions. Striking workers say the Keck Executive Board has not engaged in any negotiations and likely will not until the scheduled conclusion of the protests later this week.
We are all willing to serve our patients, but we're also willing to look after ourselves. How can we serve if we cannot look after ourselves?
They need to pay us and they need to recognize what we give to these patients.
We had patients outside striking with us, holding up signs. We have USC students holding up signs, standing with us in solidarity, and it feels so good that our community supports us and they value us, and we just hope that USC Keck Hospital will also value us the way that our community does.
Another healthcare walkout came to an end today. Kaiser Permanente workers had been on strike for nearly a month. A statement released by Kaiser says the United Nurses Association of California and Union of Healthcare Professionals accepted an offer of across-the-board wage increases of 21.5%. Kaiser said the decision is, quote, good progress and moves us closer to a contract agreement.
Exactly 4 years ago today, Russian President Vladimir Putin launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. He vowed to take Kiev in 3 days. 4 years later, there is no end in sight. The war has caused over $195 billion in damage to Ukraine, with reconstruction estimated at $524 billion over the next decade. According to the Center for Strategic and International Studies, Russia has suffered up to 325,000 troop deaths, while Ukraine has lost between 500 to 600,000 military troops, with 15,000 civilian deaths.
Russians must learn that Europe is a union of independent nations and millions of people who do not tolerate humiliation and will not accept violence. Continue to defend the European way of life. Please support Ukraine.
As the war enters its 4th year, communities are still feeling the impacts. We spoke to Ukrainian Americans who say the pain is felt every day.
I think it's sort of quite a long list of things that need to happen. You know, sort of first and foremost, Russia needs to leave Ukrainian sovereign territory. I think that there probably should be significant reparations paid to Ukraine for the rebuilding of the country after the illegal invasion.
I think all of us that are Ukrainian will continue to feel the implications of the war for the rest of our lives. I mean, we've been feeling it since 2014.
Dozens of delegates walked out during the Russian ambassador's speech to the UN conference on disarmament, and many European leaders have promised to continue to support Ukraine.
Universities are usually a place where students from all backgrounds come together to share their unique experiences and perspectives. But given the current political climate, that's not always the case.
On a stretcher, a complete human wreck.
In response, USC created the Open Dialogue Project. At an event this afternoon, university leaders said it's committed to fostering the principles of academic freedom, free expression, and open discourse.
I think this is super important. We cannot provide a good education to students at USC.
Despite the university's efforts, students have mixed feelings about speaking up on campus.
Judged or ridiculed for your opinions. I don't really usually feel very comfortable sharing my political ideations. You know, USC is a pretty tight-knit community at the end of the day, so
the USC Open Dialogue Project is asking students to take its survey and make their voices heard.
Editors at the Daily Trojan say they've had an unprecedented number of articles submitted this spring with AI-generated content. Last fall, 2 articles using AI were published in the Daily Trojan Spanish supplement. The articles were removed. A letter from the editors says this semester alone, the paper declined to publish 4 articles they believed were created with AI. As a result, the managing team has adopted new procedures to check every article for AI-generated writing, adding on to our already rigorous editing process, which includes 2 managing reads and 3 fact-checking reads.
We don't publish things if we have reason to suspect that there might have been use of generative AI. So we don't need to definitively prove for us to not feel comfortable publishing an article under someone's byline.
Well, some things sound very, very robotic. So when things sound very robotic, it just rings a bell for us to just check the editing history, use Chrome extensions to make sure that there's ways for us to really double check and hone in on that this is actually written by a human. We do check in with the writers. We don't just move forward with like the consequences. We do want to check in with them. We want to give them an opportunity to talk, especially if we're accusing them of using AI.
The Daily Trojan says it will continue to strengthen its AI policy and improve its transparency with readers.
A new report ranks LA's worst intersections. We'll show you one of them close to campus.
A USC student created her own game. Find out what it's about.
And a new bill is introduced for your furry friends. Find out what that means next. History is usually learned through textbooks or documentaries, but one USC student is turning research into something you can actually play. Anna Hunter is a game development and interactive design major at Dornsife. She created an unusual game that explains how trauma is passed down from one generation to the next.
It wasn't like I always knew I wanted to make a game about this, but I always knew I wanted to make games that were really relevant and that could motivate people. I think a game like this has the ability to instill hope when you realize that if we were only to unite and really get through things together, then we could do so much more.
Hunter's game is part of a growing effort to use interactive technology to make academic research more accessible.
A California congresswoman has proposed a bill designed to protect pets and pet shelters during emergencies and major disasters. Over 1,000 pets were displaced in the Eaton and Palisades fires. The bill calls for FEMA to provide funds to state, local, and tribal governments to establish mobile pet shelters. Companion animal equipment trailers could also be used for evacuations.
This is great that this is a bipartisan effort to get this through, considering all the other things going on in the world. At least what we can do is reunite around our pets, and hopefully, when the next disaster, not if, when the next disaster happens, more people are able to comfortably evacuate with their pets and know that things are going to be okay.
The goals of the bill are to better prepare families to evacuate pets during disasters, ensure grant money to buy resources for pets, and make protective plans for pets more affordable. Representative Judy Chu is spearheading the bill with bipartisan support.
Many would agree that the worst part about living in LA is the traffic. The LA Times ranked LA's worst intersections using data on traffic volume and accidents. Vermont and 28th near campus was ranked number 12 for its traffic volume and was the site of 28 collisions since 2010. The professor who helped with this report in transportation weighed in on the data.
I think it ranks among the worst because the LA Times doesn't really understand the definition of worst. They gave me a list of the 14 busiest intersections in Los Angeles, and they announced these are the worst. And I said, no, these are the best. These are the ones that are performing the best. Los Angeles is better than any other city, not just the country, but probably the world, in managing signalized traffic intersections.
However, the traffic issues don't seem to bother businesses nearby. One shop owner said that they wanted to stay in the busy area near campus because the students' business they receive.
Claro que no. Lo que me ayuda a mí es que
Oh, of course not. What helps me is that, since we're close to the university, many of my clients come from there, from the university to our place. They use quite a lot of our services. I've always known that. That's why we're in this area. We always wanted to be here, but when we had the opportunity to move, we did.
The T intersection means there's one dead end on 28th Street, meaning drivers have to look at 2 directions, not 3. If you're driving through the intersection, make sure you look both ways.
Anyone can sign up for a possible 2028 Olympic tickets. It's a drawing which prioritizes Los Angeles residents, and the cheapest tickets start at $28. So far, more than 5 million people have signed up, including myself. And LA 28 officials say the draw is so popular, they're receiving about 100,000 requests per day. USC students could see events in their own backyard. The Coliseum is one of many venues for the summer games.
Did hear about that, which I feel like that's amazing for people that do want to go and people who probably wouldn't go because of the affordability option. For me personally, I don't think that really changes my opinion, but I do feel like that would change the opinion of many people, as you know, it's like a sport event that brings people together.
Yeah, probably. I thought they were like at least like $100 or something, so I feel like if it's just $28, then yeah, I would definitely consider going.
One other way to get up close to the games is to volunteer to help out at events. For more information, visit la28.org/volunteer. And what you're seeing is the snowy hills of Providence, Rhode Island, and I know Drew has more about the East Coast storm that's taking place. Drew?
Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow has become the Northeast region's official jingle. Folks have been at it all day, digging themselves out of one of the biggest blizzards in more than a decade. It's called a bomb cyclone. The name even had me spooked. It's when that frigid Arctic air heads down south, clashing with warmer temperatures, leaving us with record inches of snow almost as tall as me. You're back for another wrangling weather report with California's country weatherman. It's my duty to get you prepared as you head out that door. The current temperature outside we're seeing is around 70 degrees. It's an indication to me that it'll be a hair blowing in the breeze weekend. Our weekly forecast begins to heat up starting Wednesday and Thursday, 85 degrees. This will be the best days for you to go and grab some bubbles for the babies right here, grab some balls for the boys, and enjoy you a good weekend and have some fun. Friday through Saturday is where all ages are welcome to play. We'll bask in the sun, blue skies starting Friday, with temperatures hitting the 90s into Saturday. As we recover from our weekend adventures on Sunday, we'll see cooling from the heat to rest and relaxing at 81 degrees. As the sun falls during the week, we'll see cloudy skies, cool and foggy nights. Don't worry about that though. This won't ruin a weekend thing. This has been Drew Richmond with your Wrangling Weather Report, keeping you prepared as you head out that door. Josh, I got some sports for you. Let's get to it.
Drew, thank you so much. Coming up, women's basketball looks to get back on track in Happy Valley. The men's team faces off against a familiar foe to avoid dropping its 4th straight. And finally, men's tennis gets a massive win in a final set of a rivalry match.
USG election season has kicked off.
They have a huge game on Thursday, right?
Huge.
Prior to that, he couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat.
And a warning tonight about a massive storm heading our way.
We're live here at the Galen Center.
What would y'all do if you had $2.5 million?
Music, art, and women empowerment.
And she put her stamp on Big Ten history.
Those are men swimming like fish.
Thanks for watching.
Annenberg TV News. You never miss an episode.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Thanks for watching.
So, live from the Halo is USC Annenberg's take on NPR's Tiny Desk concerts.
wear the dress that you wore.
This is like a platform for USC students and adjunct students just to perform and play their music for an audience.
The girl who nurtures the feelings you kept in, whose touch leaves you begging for more.
Welcome back to ATVN Sports. I'm Joshua Sacker.
And I'm Edward Jong. USC women's basketball faces two conference opponents this week as they jostle for Big Ten positioning. 2 games or less separate the Trojans from the next 2 teams in the conference as they prepare to take on Penn State tomorrow night. The Nittany Lions are 3-13 in the Big Ten, but are hot off 2 conference wins. They're led by 22-point-per-game scorer Kiyomi McMiller and 6'6" center Gracie Merkel. The Trojans will rely on superstar Jazzy Davidson, who is coming off of a career-high 32-point performance. Indeed, the true freshman has proved to be as good as advertised. She leads the Trojans in every major statistic, and 7 times she's been named Big Ten Freshman of the Week, the most in the nation. The last time a freshman scored 30-plus was Juju Watkins in 2024. So Josh, Jazzy Davidson is going off every single night, the best freshman in the nation. What do you think about the team right now considering her performances?
Yeah, Eddie, I'm loving where this Trojan team is at right now. They unfortunately blew the game in Columbus against a really good Ohio State team, but before that game, they had won 6 straight. Like you said, Jazzy Davidson is doing it all. She's leading the Trojan in every statistical category, but she's also leading them in shots with 17 a game. I'd love to see Kara Dunn and Kennedy Smith step up to take the load off the freshmen a little bit. Right now, the Trojans are a 7 seed in ESPN's bracketology. Eddie, where do you see this team down the stretch?
Absolutely. We got 2 big conference games coming up, Penn State and UCLA. Neither of them are anything to joke about. UCLA, obviously the number 2 team in the country. Penn State, they're no joke too. They got 2 great players. Now, Jazzy Davidson, she's good on the offensive end, but she's also leading the team in steals and blocks. And a lot of times, that's how she gets her offense going, is when she creates on the defensive end and she can get out in transition.
Yeah, like you said, big matchups. Hopefully the Trojans don't overlook Penn State.
Tip-off is in Happy Valley tomorrow night at 3.
USC men's basketball will travel into enemy territory to face rival UCLA in a must-win game tonight. Despite a devastating 71-70 loss to Oregon last Saturday, the Trojans returned their leading scorer, Chad Baker-Mazara, who had 21 points on 55% shooting. Mazara, who is averaging 18.5 points per game this season, has been nursing a grade 1 knee strain that he suffered in a game against Indiana on February 3rd. The Bruins, on the other hand, are coming off an electric overtime upset over number 10 Illinois last Saturday. UCLA is led by seniors Tyler Bilodeau and Donovan Dent, who are averaging a combined 31.5 points per game this season. The Trojans will need to slow down this duo if they want to keep their tournament hopes alive. Here's what head coach Eric Musselman had to say ahead of the big matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I've never had a season like this, and you know, but we got a game that means a lot to the university on Tuesday against UCLA.
The 265th meeting of the Crosstown rivalry will tip off at 8 p.m. at Pauley Pavilion.
If you answer the bell, you get to ring it. Niels Hoffman did just that on Saturday after he won the winner-go-home singles match to take down crosstown rival UCLA. Hoffman beat Cassius Chinlun 7-6, 1-6, 6-1 to win the team match 4-3 for the Trojans.
Introducing our new sports segment, Tuesday's Trojan Top Plays, where we highlight the top plays of the week from USC athletes. For my top play, I'm turning to the diamond. Third baseman Adrian Lopez makes a diving stop and guns out the runner at first, looking like Nolan Arenado at the hot corner. The Trojans would go on to defeat Rice 5-0.
My top play takes us to beautiful Honolulu, where Zoe Henson lays out for the up and her partner Sarah Wood slams it down for the kill. The duo took down number 2 Stanford in this one and also took home most outstanding pair of the weekend. Now, Josh, that match happened mere 10 to 15 minutes from my house. I know how hard it is to run around in that sand. That's why my top play is better than yours this
Eddie,
week.
I'm going to have to disagree completely. You're on the diamond. Not every day you see a diving play like
it was the third inning. There was no one on base.
Anyway, that's all for Tuesday's top plays. Tune in next week to see who makes the cut.
Thank you so much for watching us at ATVN Sports.
We'll toss it over to Mary, and as always, happy Tuesday.
Blink and you might have missed it because I know I did. This USC class midterm requirement was a flash mob.
Midterm, say nothing less to the third-year students at the USC Kaufman School of Dance. The students unexpectedly grooved their way into the Annenberg building today to show that choreographed dancing can occur anywhere, even off the stage.
I'm taking a class right now. It's part of my dance technique class. We're taking punking and whacking. That's like one dance style.
Punking comes from the gay and queer community and an underground dance club culture where they weren't allowed to be themselves, and so they found an underground space to just explore and express themselves.
Then it's just like a wider tradition in the punking and whacking kind of community to punk the space, which means to just, go into spaces and dance.
At last year's Punkover, students danced into a Starbucks. I wonder where they will decide to dance next year. Thanks for watching Annenberg TV News from everyone at Annenberg Media. I'm Seth Perez.
And I'm Mary Elizabeth. For more coverage, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. We'll see you next time. Good night.
No, we should not. Because I'd crush it.
Oh, yes.